we were in the shop and we were supposed to be painting things, and the teacher had to leave for a little bit. So boy, we started painting each other and everything else, and the guys and I got into a lot of trouble. I think maybe the girls too. And finally, I remember in the 8th grade, the teacher had to talk, said, "You guys are not doing too well to graduate." And the girls, I remember the girls were there, and one of the girls started to cry and everything. So we sort of settled down so we could graduate. But we had a lot of, and we gave each other nicknames. My best friend, his name was Omer Owens Jr. We called him Butch McGee. We gave him the name Butch McGee. And Stafford Walters, who played Lulabelle, the girl, I forget, we called her, was it Moon Mullins or something like that, Moon Mullins. And one guy's name was Oscar Johnson, and they gave me the name of Pete McGillicuddy. so I've kept the name Pete ever since. But anyway, I wanted to tell about that. Okay, I'd like to tell something about my high school days. When I got into high school, I sort of settled down and stopped goofing off so much like I did in grade school. In high school, I worked in a bakery first. I remember I worked 3 hours a day, and I made 10 cents an hour for working in the bakery, and I scraped floors and things like that, and scraped pans. I finally quit the job, washed dishes, things like that. But I quit the job and then started working in a drugstore, and I got $5 it was $3. I got $3 a week for working in the bakery, and I got $5 a week for working in the drugstore at nights, and I would take things and deliver on my bicycle. And the bakery asked me to come back, and I said, no, I don't think so, and finally they said they'd give me a raise, $7 a week. I said, no, the only way I'd come back is if I got to do other things other than scraping the floor and, washing dishes. I said I'd like to ice cakes. I like to do a little bakery work, help make donuts and things like that. So they agreed to do that. I got to do that, which was great. So I learned something about the bakery business, Then the war started coming, I remember. And I was delivering telegrams. I quit the bakery and I was delivering telegrams on my bicycle at night. I remember delivering some telegrams, and I delivered this telegram. Well, the war had started, and I would deliver a telegram to this house, and then I'd hear the lady scream and yell, and I knew what was happening. Somebody died, That was back in 1941, 42. While I was in high school, a friend of mine that worked in a bakery asked me to join the National Guard. It's a Missouri State Guard. And you had to be 18 to get in. But I lied. I said I was 18. I was only 16. And I got in, but I got good military training. I learned how to march, how to handle a gun, and it was good training for me. And I also became the bugler, and I never touched a bugle before. And I learned by myself. They just told me how to blow into the bugle, and I was able to blow taps and a few other things. Not the best, but I was the bugler. And let's see, also, while I was in last year of high school, I worked in a defense plant there at school. Every Saturday morning, I would get up at 7 o'clock, and I'd work till 11 at night. And I worked in a welding shop. And I would would cut these pieces of metal so that people could weld. And then I learned how to do a little welding myself, you know, and it was mostly women that came there to get training for welding for the World War II, you know, to help out. And I also worked in a machine shop. The Navy was there at high school, and they were training, learning how to be machinists. And I worked in the tool department, and I hand out tools and everything to them. During that time, sweaters were very popular. Sweaters were very popular, you know, and having a lot of hair was popular. So I think I must have bought about, 20 sweaters or so. You know, they're very popular with the girls. They like it, you know. Anyway, yeah, so I had a lot of sweaters. I was making 60 cents an hour. That was the pay for working, doing defense work and everything, which was okay. I liked it, you know. But that working at, what was that, 7-Eleven? That was 7 in the morning till 11 at night. That's a lot. I was 16 hours, I remember. And sometimes I'd meet my best buddy, Butch, afterwards, and we would go on a streetcar all night long. You know, that was our entertainment. We'd meet up and go and just ride on the streetcar, you know. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say about that? No, I think that's about it, yeah. Okay, I was asked about when I got so interested in track and running. I remember it was about maybe 3-4 miles from my house to the high school, and some mornings I ran all the way there, and I know a lot of times I ran all the way back so I could get to my job in time. So I really got used to running a lot. And I remember one time I got with one of my buddies, and I think we ran for an hour without stopping. You know, we wanted to see who could run the longest. I remember I ran for a whole hour without stopping, both of us, and we finally stopped together. But anyway, that's how I got into running. As far as high school, finally the war had been going on, and I wrote some. I remember I liked to write articles and things. I was on the newspaper at the high school, and I wrote a poem, "Keep Your Head Up, America." I still have it. My daughter has it now, and the teacher at the school liked it so much. I was in the auto department studying auto mechanics, and he liked the poem so much he had me read it to the whole high school. Everybody in the morning would listen to comments, you know, made by the principal and so forth, and I read that poem to the whole school. I remember that. That was exciting. And as it got near the end of high school, and I remember I wrote in the paper I was saying goodbye because I was going into service. My last article I was writing, and so I joined. I was still in the State Guard, and I went in and I joined the service. I went into the Air Corps. And they said they would let me stay in school, and 2 weeks after I graduated, I would go in. So that started my life in the service. Okay, so is that it? Okay. Okay, now I'm leaving high school, and I had a lot of fun in high school. I had dates with girls. That's where I really got into it, dating girls and everything. And so I got into the service, volunteered, and got into the Army Air Corps, which I wanted to do very much. And I enjoyed my training. I was stationed in Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, which is very close to St. Louis. I really wanted to go farther away, but I had to take basic training there. And I really liked basic training. And I remember when I was first there, the first week or so, they were getting us ready for basic training, and in the morning they'd wake us up, you know, they'd come in, all right, hit the deck, and we'd have to get up, and then we would get out there after breakfast and everything. We'd stand at attention. We'd have to clean our bunks and all that. That's where we started learning how to make our bunks, our beds, and everything, and clean the barracks. And then we were new recruits, and we got out there, and before we actually started our basic training, and they had us stand out there, and they said, give us a work detail. And some guy and we had to stand, and we couldn't be looking around or moving our head. We had to stand and look straight ahead, and some guy was giving her orders for a work detail. I guess you dig ditches over here, or you fix this over here, or you do that. And every morning he'd give us these orders. We didn't know where he was. We knew he was somewhere, but we never saw him. And one morning, I happened to look up, and there he was. He was laying on his bed on the second floor, you know, one of the barracks, and he was giving orders. I just happened to glance up and see him. You know, there he was giving orders, laying in bed. And then we took off doing all the work detail. I guess he went back to bed. I remember that. Anyway, then we started basic training, lots of hiking, physical training, learning how to use a rifle, how to fire it and so forth, how to take it apart and all that sort of thing, marching. We got gas training, you know, and so forth. I remember going into a gas tank, and my gas mask didn't work. I remember it's called laughing gas, but it's nothing to laugh about. And I got in there, and it wasn't working. Oh boy! And I had to come out, and I was I remember I was really really sick. Excuse me. Okay, Pat, this is the wrong time, honey. Yeah, I remember getting really, really sick, man. And I guess I don't remember you laugh or anything, but I remember I just wanted to die. That's it. I just wanted to die. And but you know, after a couple of days, I was fine again. But that was quite an experience. I can't say it was a good experience. But we learned we had to wash our own clothes. We learned how to do that, you know, wash them. And I would come home and leave from St. Louis to St. Louis, and my aunts there and the ladies. I lived in that place. There were 21 people living in that 3-story house. And they would iron my clothes for me and everything, so I looked real nice. But yeah. I got to come home to St. Louis a lot. I'll leave and go on dates and so forth. I remember standing in line and at attention. All of us were standing at attention, and the fellow next to me moved, and he hit me, bumped me, and we both moved, and we both got KP for it. That was called, KP is Kitchen Patrol, okay? Kitchen Patrol. And I wrote a song about that while I was in the service there. I wrote a song about, I dream of White Christmas. I wrote the song, I dream of GI Christmas, and getting on KP and everything. But we had to serve KP for that, and I would not, you know, you didn't say, well, this guy pushed me. You don't do that in the service, you just take it. So I remember, but yeah, I did a lot of KP. I got an ingrown toenail on the service. I wanted to stay with the guys, but my toe was bothering me so bad, and my toe was infected real bad, so I had to go to the hospital. They're at basic training, and they took care of the toe. And then I got back with another group to finish up my basic training there. And there were a couple of sergeants there that I got to know real well, and I always did my best. I always tried and real hard, and they knew that, you know, and I got to be friends with them. And they were talking about, you're from St. Louis, you know any girls or anything? I said, yeah, I got some living at my house, you know. And really, so I got them a couple of dates with these girls at my house. So I had it in with the sergeants pretty good. But finally I left St. Louis there, basic training, and went to Lincoln, Nebraska. And you know, I remember I met a girl over there that I liked a lot too in Lincoln, Nebraska. But that was just a place where you go and then they send you someplace else, you know. So I was in Lincoln, Nebraska a little bit. I liked it, and so much so that I thought maybe when I got out of service, I would go to the University of Nebraska. But I left. Finally, they stationed me, sent me to Amarillo, Texas. And I was there about 5 months in Amarillo, Texas. It was beautiful there. In Amarillo, Texas. I learned how to, went to airplane mechanic school there. I remember that. And we still do a lot of physical training and everything. 2 hours of physical training, I remember. And Thanksgiving came along, and the guy said he was going to give us extra training that day, so we maybe had about 4 hours of physical training to work up an appetite. Oh man, we're looking forward to that nice turkey dinner and all that. So we got our training, and we stood in line for our turkey dinner. When I got up there, almost to the turkey dinner, they were out of turkey. So instead they served, I think it was sardines instead of turkey. I was so disappointed. I think I went to town to get something, you know. I was not going to stand there and eat sardines. Also, when they paid us once a month, they had all these dice games and all these card games going on. I remember staying up all night long rolling dice. And then most of the time you didn't win anything. You lost or you broke even, but you stayed up all night doing that. I thought that was crazy. But they had all kinds of games. I left them. Actually, I finally finished my training in Amarillo, Texas. Airplane mechanic school, actually. But I wanted to fly, so they sent me to Seattle, Washington, engineering training. And I was there about a month, 6 weeks, and was great there. I love the climate. I remember it rained every day, and we had PE in the afternoon, physical training, and I looked forward to that. And every doggone day it rained. So they said, well, you guys are not getting your physical training, so we'll have you, we'll change it to the morning. So they changed the physical training in the morning. I'll be darned if it stopped raining in the afternoon and started raining every morning, because it rained a lot in Seattle. This is in February. I was there from February to about April. But I loved it there in Seattle, yeah. But I'd walk into town at night, and I'd go to a YMCA and work out, because I wasn't getting workout, you know, at the camp. But I went to engineering school as a specialist. I remember, you know, you're one day you're working with carburetors, the next day you're working with electrical equipment, next day you're working with hydraulics. You know, it was very, very good training, and I liked it a lot. I did very well with it. But I remember one experience. I'd never been in a fighter plane before, And I'm always goofing around, clowning around, having fun. And I got in this fighter plane, I believe it was a P-47, and I got in it, and we had a little break. We had a break, take a 10-minute break or so. So I got in this thing, and I got a hold of this thing. Man, I was in pilot to tower, getting ready to land, or sort of ready to take off, and everybody's coming around, all these guys training with me started laughing and everything. So the more they laughed, the more I poured it on. And it ended up, I wasn't talking into a mic or anything. I was talking into the tube that you urinate in. That's why everybody was laughing. That was good experience for me. By the way, whenever we had a break, and especially in basic training, they'd always say, take 5. You'd be surprised, practically everybody smoked. I did not smoke because I always stayed up real late, go into town, get in at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I needed sleep. So when they said take a break, I'd put my head on a helmet and I'd fall asleep. And about, I'd have a 5-minute nap. And by the time the end of the day came, I was ready to go again. But everybody else smoked and I didn't, So anyway, so I finished my training in Seattle, and then I went to my dad, by the way, calls Seattle, Washington, God's country, and I agree with him. I really liked it. And anyway, I left Seattle and went to Las Vegas, Nevada, and we went there for gunnery training, and we had to learn how to fire the machine gun and everything, and we had to learn how to take it all apart and put it all back together again. And they would blindfold us, and we had to do it in such a time. I forget how much. It was really fast. Learned how to do that there. Learned we would fly and shoot at targets and everything in the sky. And some of the guys washed out because they couldn't handle flying. So, and at the end of, and while we were there, you're walking around and you had no leave. You had no leave for 6 weeks. You had to stay there on base. And the sand all the time. You go out and the sand was blowing. You're full of sand. You just felt dirty all the time, But they did have movie theaters on the base. Got to see a lot of movies. I remember seeing this movie Home in Indiana with Jean Crane. I think that was our first movie you ever hear of her, Jean Crane. I'll have to tell you later. I wrote to all these movie stars, so anyway, I left. Okay, we getting back to Las Vegas. We finally finished training there in Las Vegas.